Boker Ora Botai. This morning we have a few mitzvot, and we'll start with the number 603. These are mitzvot that are at the end of Parashat Ki Tetzeh, all regarding the mitzvah to remember what Amalek did to Bnei Yisrael when we came out of Mitzrayim. The pasuk, of course, is Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek. B'derech b'seteche b'Mitzrayim. It's in Perek Chafeh, pasuk Yud Zayin. Amalek is considered Reshit Goyim. Reshit Goyim, the way the Targum explains it, is Resh Kerabaya de Yisrael. That's the first enemy that came after Bnei Yisrael. So they're the first. Reason why they were the first, because they weren't afraid. Everybody else was scared from Bnei Yisrael. They heard about the miracles that took place when we came out of Mitzrayim. The Rav's lashon is Amalekim berowa levavam ubemizgam. They have a bad heart, and they have a bad constitution in their nature. Lo shatu libam nechol zeh. They didn't care about all the miracles that Hashem did. So it wasn't only a fight against us; it was a fight against God. Shebashlu bazeh mashal. The famous mashal is the yorei yotahad, the burning bath. And everybody's afraid to jump into the bath because they know they're going to get burnt. And Amalek, knowing that he's going to get burnt, jumped in, but at least he cooled it off for the next guy. And therefore, we would say in our vernacular, they broke the ice, Abdil. And therefore, once already Amalek showed the other people that the Jewish people are not untouchable, so that caused all the other nations as well to have less fear. Now that Rab explains the shortage, I think the shortage of this mitzvah is very appropriate even for the things that are going on today, what I believe also was in the thoughts of Amalek, which is Hamas. Even though it's from Yishmael, according to the Mikubalim, Amalek does not have to be necessarily from a certain line. It's from a certain nature. If a person has a certain nature, then they can be categorized as Amalek as well. And this is what the Rab says. He writes, why are we obligated to remember this people? Why are we obligated to have it on our mind? Anybody that causes agony and pain to Yisrael, sanui lifnei Hashem baruch hu. You have to know God hates these people. V'chi lefi ra'ato ve'ormat lo nisko tiyeh mapalato ve'ra'ato. According to their cleverness in the way they attack us and the way they, Chas v'shalom, kill the Jewish people and cause damage, commensurate to that, tiyeh mapalato. That's going to be their fall as well. That means Amalek is not going to fall like a regular nation. Because they went out of their way to torment the Jewish people in an exaggerated way more than any other nation, so of course Borei Olam hates them. But as a result of their unprecedented measures, Borei Olam is going to bring them down like no other nation. So therefore we say, Mahot Timche et Zecher Amalek, which means you have to go after all of them, adults and children and men and women. And the question is, how do you fulfill this mitzvah of to remember Amalek? So the Rav tells us over here that they didn't really give us a fixed time. We know when it comes to Yetziat Mitzrayim, we have a time. Leman tizkur et yom setecha me'eretz Mitzrayim kol yemei hayecha. So we know yemei hayecha is hayamim, kol is rabot halelot. So that we have a time for, but the Torah does not give us a specific time. So the Hakam says over here that the custom is to remember. It says because zecharim kilahem la'asot milchama. Who goes to war? Men. And the Rabbi is learning the whole reason to remember Amalek is in order that we should be ready to go to war against them. And since the ladies are not benot milchama, they didn't go out to war, so therefore they're exempt. All the Aharonim ask on this Chinuch, especially the Benhat Chinuch asks. We learned in Masechet Sotah that when it comes to a Milchemet Mitzvah, it says Afilu Kala Yotze Mechupata. Even a bride leaves her bridal chuppah, canopy, and goes out to fight. How can the Chinuch say that ladies are not benot milchama? So the Mefarshim answer, of course the Chinuch knows that ladies go out in Milchem Mitzvah, but they don't go out to fight. They go to sepek mazon to their brethren, which means they go into the mess hall, they prepare food, or they do nursing and medical stuff, but they're not actually fighting in the war, although they go out to help in the effort. So therefore, according to the Rav, the ladies would be exempt from this mitzvah. How would one transgress this? A year would pass, or he says, actually, I take that back, that's my words. His words is, "Ve'over al zeh ve'lo zachar belibo, ve'kara befiv me'olam, ma she'asa Amalek liYisrael." If a person never remembered, sounds like here now the Rav says that min Torah, it's like you have to remember it once. So a person went his whole life and he never remembered belibo, in his heart, and then befiv. Befiv is verbal because you have to mention it verbally as well. It's two mitzvot. The mitzvah is to remember it in your heart and then express it verbally. So he says, bitel aseh zeh. Now, according to the Chinuch, the next mitzvah would be number 604. That's the mitzvah lehachrit zaro shel Amalek. And the pasuk says, "V'haya b'aniach Hashem Elohecha lecha mikol oyevecha misaviv, ba'aretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha, nachala l'nishta timche et zecher Amalek mitachat hashamayim lo tishkach." That's chafeh yutet. So there's the mitzvah not to only remember, but to actually destroy them. Now there's a famous Gemara in Baba Batra that says, Yoav ben Siruyah, when he went out to war, he only killed the males, and he didn't kill the females. And David Amelech went and he said, "What did you do?" So he says, the pasuk says, "Timche et Zachar Amalek." Zachar Amalek. He said, who was your first grade teacher that taught you like that? They didn't teach you to read a pasuk correctly. It's not Zachar, it's Zecher. And according to one version of the Gemara, they actually held that first grade teacher responsible for teaching the wrong Nekudot, because that had a great consequence when it came to the war. He taught only the male, Zachar. But it's not Zachar, it's Zecher. Zecher means the memory. And therefore, according to some opinions, they actually killed the teacher. And nonetheless, well, he might have deserved it. And the Rab writes from the Gemara Sanhedrin, "Shalosh mitzvot nitztavu Yisrael b'shat kinisatam la'aretz." We're very close to this. At the time the Jewish people will enter Eretz Yisrael b'karov, they have three mitzvot. Number one, to appoint a king. Number two, to build Bet HaBechira. And number three, lehachrit zera Amalek. And he says, "Ube'emet ki gam al kol yachid mi Yisrael." This is an obligation even on every individual. Mutal ha'chiyuv lehorgam ul'abedam min ha'olam. Im yesh kawach biyadam, if they have the ability. Mikol makom ubchol zeman. It's all times, all places. The problem is we don't know who Amalek is today. Meaning we're not sure anymore after Sanheriv came and mixed up everybody. So even if you open up a phone book and you see the guy Joe Amalek, that doesn't mean he's from Amalek, because he could be coming from a different country or a different denomination and we're not sure. However, if a person does know who he is and he doesn't kill him, so he's mivatel this mitzvah ta'aseh. Finally, mitzvah number 605 is shelon nishkach ma'aseh Amalek. As the pasuk says, lo tishkach. So therefore we have a positive commandment to remember, that's verbally, and then we have a negative commandment not to forget, to remember what he did to us when we came out of Mitzrayim. Zachor bapeh, lo tishkach balev. Kedomar, lo tashlik sin'ato, velo tisira min nafshecha, be'inyan shel tishkach otada. You shouldn't do something that causes you to forget it. And it's obviously that it seems that we're not sure exactly if the order of King Bet HaMikdash and destroying Amalek is exactly in that order. It's quite possible that maybe we have to destroy Amalek first, and could be we're very involved in that process. And if we are, then we can look forward to Bezat Hashem of the Melech, which is Mashiach, and ultimately the building of the Bet HaMikdash. Like it says, Ki yad al kesya milchama Adonai ba'Amalek midor dor.